Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. I am Airah Lawi and I want to share with you my Intercensal analysis in UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates. And without further ado, let's proceed to what is Intercensal analysis. So what is intercensal analysis? So according to Crusetti and Schmidt, an intercensal analysis is a 10-year gap analysis used to identify the difference 10 years later. It is a method for estimating population census projections for countries or states using multiple regression analysis of diagnostic data. This is a method that appears to be more accurate than any other population census. So, meron tayong intercensal period from 2001 to 2011 and 2021, which has a 10 years gap. And the variables are significant to this study such that the analysis may be properly illustrated also. So before tayo mag-proceed sa mga variables na itatakol natin later, let's first know what is United Arab Emirates. So the UAE is an Arabian Peninsula southern edge bordering Oman and Saudi Arabia. The UAE was founded in December 1971 as Federation of 6 Emirates, which is the Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, and Fujairah, with Ras Al Khaimah joining the federation in 1972. As we all know, Abu Dhabi is the largest and wealthiest of the 7 Emirates, while the Ajman is the smallest emirate. The current population of United Arab Emirates is in 10,063,983, which projected by United Nations data. While as we all know, UAE has a very diverse population, of which only 10% are UAE national, and the remainder is made up of expatriates, which is the UAE has the 7th highest net migration rate in the world at 12.36, as many expatriates is allowed under law to apply for UAE citizenship after living in the country for 20 years, assuming they have not been convicted of crime and can speak Arabic. So this section displays population data for the United Arab Emirates using a tabular and graph method, including the population in millions for the 3 mid-years, birth and death rates per 1,000 people, natural population increase, infant mortality and total fertility rates per 1,000 people, net migration rate per 1,000 people, and the percent population age 15 to 65. So as we can see in this table, it shows that the highest number of populations in UAE during the mid-year was recorded during the year of 2021 with 9.8 million, followed by 7.9 million was recorded during the mid-2011 and 3.3 million was recorded during the mid-2001. So the table shows that the birth rate of the United Arab Emirates per 1,000 people during 2001 has 18, in 2011 has 13, and in 2021 has 18 respectively. So as we can see, yung year 2001 has a highest birth rate, pero nung papunta na sa 2021, nagdi-decline siya, which is nagdi-decrease siya. So what are the factors or what are the reason why nagdi-decline ito? It is because, accordingly, na yung decline ng birth rate has been attributed to urbanization, changing attitudes about family size and improved education and work opportunities for women, resulting in delayed marriage. It is supported by Furness, which they say that the fall in birth rates is due to changing lifestyle patterns, including more women in workforce and the ability of the contraception. And also, Dr. Shrivastava told in the National, there are very high rates of diabetes and PCOS among the local population. Isa itong rason kung bakit nagdi-decline o nagdi-decrease yung birth rate nila. The table shows that the death rate of the UAE per 1,000 people during 2001 has 4, in 2011 has 1, in 2021 has 2 respectively. So bakit ito during 2011 to 2021 nag-increase ito muli? So why is that? Because according to Loni, in the view of the high inward migration of expatriate workers and transient influx of tourists from all over the world, the infectious diseases remain an important area of public health in the UAE. However, the communicable diseases were not included in the top 4 public health priority areas, as the UAE is considered as a high-income country that is deemed to have passed through the epidemiologic transition. The natural population increase of United Arab Emirates during 2001 has 1.8, and 2011 there is 1.2, and 2021 there is 0.8. As we can see, nagdi-decrease yung natural population increase in United Arab Emirates. So, bakit? Ano yung mga rason? Ano yung factor kung bakit ito nagdi-decrease? So, accordingly, the natural population increase of the United Arab Emirates declines. It is due to the decreasing of the birth rate and the total fertility of the country. This is due to the increase of the net migration rate that could be a factor to the increasing number of population and not the natural population increase of the UAE. The table shows the infant mortality rate per 1,000 people in UAE. During 2001, it has 19, in 2011, it has 7, in 2021, it has 5, respectively. So what are the reason or the factor why is it decreasing? So in 2010, it says that in mortality statistics for Emirates of Abu Dhabi revealed that in 2010, it has a 29% of all deaths were due to the cardiovascular diseases. The table shows that the total fertility rate per 1,000 people in UAE during 2001 to 2011 to 2021 has, in 2001, it has 3.5, in 2011 it has 1.8, and in 2021 it has 1.4. So why it is also decreasing or declining? According to Loni, 2013, the decline in birth rate has been attributed to urbanization, changing attitudes about family size, improved education and work opportunities for women, resulting in delayed marriage. So the fertility rate, meaning to say that the fertility rate in the UAE is dropping rapidly, causing concern for the government. The UAE government has adopted policies such as helping young married people financially to encourage child bearing among its citizens. So yun nga, pati yung government nila, nagwo-worry sila why yung fertility rate nila is dropping. So the table shows that the net migration rate of UAE per 1,000 people during 2011 has 11, and 2021 has 2 respectively. And there was no available data on 2001 actually in UAE. So let's proceed. So why is it decreasing? So according to Migration Policy Institute, in 2013, with 7.8 million migrants out of total population of 9.2 million, the United Arab Emirates has world's 5th largest international migrant stock, which the UAE government, which is heavily reliant on foreign labor to maintain economic growth, established a temporary guest worker program in 1971. The challenges and ramifications of the program for the government, the Emirate nationals, and the migrant workers in the UAE are examined The table shows that the percent population below 15 ages of UAE during 2001 has 26, in 2011 has 18, and 2021 has 15. So in the percent population in 65 above during 2001, 2011, and 2021 was all 1, which the data shows that the population with ages less than 15 is decreasing, whereas in ages above 65 is constantly unchanged, which the declining of the ages below 15 is due to the decreasing number of the birth rate and the total fertility of the country, which I already mentioned what are the reason why it is decreasing. Also, so now, what is the implication to the environment? So as we all know, the people have the greatest impact on the environmental devastations and the development. The continuing growth of the human population may lead to increased exploitation of the natural resources such as the minerals, trees, and water from the environment. This extraction could result in the releases of toxins and waste materials, lowering air and water quality and causing the variety of the health problems. Another aspect is that the increase of environmental ecological consequences. It provide and create urban areas including the construction of buildings and structures, trees and other habitats are disturbed or destroyed. More land is being used for agricultural activities to raise crops as the population grows. The country's lower birth rate may help to reduce human activities and the environmental issues. So in conclusion, the analysis reveals that the population of United Arab Emirates continues to expand year after year. This is because of the country's net migration rate is growing. Because of the country's labor shortage, net migration has increased during the past year. As a result, migration has the largest impact on the United Arab Emirates' ever-increasing population. While the birth rate is declining, the mortality rate is rising. The rate of natural population growth is likewise falling. The infant mortality as well as the total fertility rate are both declining. The decline of these variables could have an impact of the country's urbanization rate. The birth rate and natural population increase decline as urbanization grows. It is owing to advancement in healthcare system and programs aimed to addressing population growth concerns. So yes, here's the references na news ko at nag-base lang din ako sa PRB data sheet in 2020, 2001, 2011, 2021 na ni-share sa atin ni ma'am. Yes, yung mga supporting details na sinabi ko kanina patungkol sa UAE or United Arab Emirates, ito din yung mga reference na ginamit ko. So you feel free to screenshots or kunin kung gusto nyo pa ma-enlighten or makita yung mga words na mga sinabi ko din. So yes, that would be all. Thank you and God bless you all. Again, I am Airah Lawi. If you have any question, feel free to contact me via email. Keep safe and have a nice day.
Assalamu alaikum and good day everyone. I am pleased to report to you my Intercensal paper entitled Germany's Environmental Sociology, an Intercensal Analysis. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Noreen Pangandaman, a fourth-year BS Biology student from the CNSM Biology Department. The topics to be discussed for today would be the following. First is the introduction of what is an intercensal analysis is all about. Next is the general information about Germany. Third, the critical analysis using the data sheets from the Population Reference Bureau and the implications and conclusions from the analysis. So first, what do we need to know about intercensal analysis? An intercensal analysis contains data collected at a time between two censuses. These data are combined with birth, death, migration, and net international immigration data to estimate populations for the years between censuses. With insufficient or incomplete data, intercensal approaches have been widely employed to estimate mortality in both developed and developing countries. These methods have several advantages over indirect methods because they do not require the use of model life tables and provide sufficiently accurate results, even in the presence of age distortions and death under registration. Now, this type of analysis is made using demographic data in between years of censuses and estimates of the components of demographic growth. Factors affecting demographic growth or population growth on a larger scale include the rate of natural increase, which is inclusive of the birth and death rates, the fertility rates, the mortality rates or the life expectancy, the initial age profile of the population, whether it is relatively old or relatively young to begin with, and of course, migration. This paper aims to provide an intercensal analysis of two 10-year gap censuses of Germany from 2001 to 2011 and to 2021, with careful deliberation of factors affecting the population growth of the said country. This paper will also include Germany's population in the 3 years, the rate of natural increase along with its birth and death rate, the total fertility rate, urbanization, and rate of migration. In this data, in this data analysis, a comparative approach was utilized to determine the ratio of reduction or growth rate in a certain variable throughout the 3 years presented. And finally, this analysis will use the data analysis and interpretation to establish Germany's population rate, utilizing reputable references and information from various reliable websites. But before proceeding to analysis of these incumbent numbers, let us have a quick background on what kind of country is Germany. Germany, formerly known as the Federal Republic of Germany, is situated in Europe's center and is considered the seventh biggest country in Europe. Germany is gifted with diverse environment that includes the steep high mountains of the south, the sandy rolling plains of the north, the wooded hills of the urbanized west, and the plains of the agricultural east. Along its banks and those of its major tributaries, hundreds of medieval castles, churches, picturesque villages, market towns, and centers of learnings and culture can be found. All are focal points of Germany's flourishing tourism industry, which attracts millions of tourists each year attracted to the country's natural beauty, history, culture, and gastronomy, including its renowned wines and beers. The population and territorial extent of Germany has changed significantly since the first unification of Germany, which is the West Germany and the East Germany, in 1871 to become the German Empire, owing mostly to gains and losses in the conflict. The empire had a population of 41 million people at the time of its establishment, the majority of whom lived in villages or small towns. According to the 1910 census, the population expanded dramatically to 64.6 million as industrialization and urbanization continued over the next 40 years. In 1949, with the start of the Cold War, two German nations emerged, the Western Federal Republic of Germany and the Eastern German Democratic Republic, or the GDR. The Democratic FRG became a member of the Western economic and security groups such as the EEC and NATO, whilst the Communist GDR was a member of the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact. The fall of communism and the collapse of the Soviet Union permitted Germany's unification in 1990, also known as the fall of the Berlin Wall. Germany's population has become more varied since the 1950s. Thousands of immigrants have moved to Germany in search of work and citizenship or refuge. Foreigners in Germany, in contrast to the native population, have more children and larger houses. Their average household size in 1988 was 3.5 people. Foreigners in Germany have been assimilated into society in varying degrees depending on their origins and socio-economic rank. Let's end the background check at that and now proceed to, to analyze the demographic data of Germany in two censuses. The given are the data from the PRB World Data Sheets in the years 2001 to 2011 and 2021. Sections that are to be discussed for the analysis would be the population, the birth and fertility rate, the urbanization, the rate of natural increase, and lastly, the migration rate. Let's start with population. The figure shows the population count from 2001 to 2011 and 2021, with 2001 recently experiencing high population growth, then to almost losing 1.5 million counts from the data in 2011 and to the high density number of populations in 2021. Germany has had years of both positive and negative population growth during the previous several decades. The country's population fell from the mid-1970s to the mid-1980s. Nevertheless, Germany witnessed considerable population growth, largely due to immigration, over the following decade. Following then, the country's population grew slowly up to 2001. But in 2011, something strange happened. Almost 1.5 million disappeared from the population statistic. In 2011, most German districts and cities had a much lower population than everyone had assumed before the census. This is attributed to imprecise figures used in date according to Simon from Data Wrapper. Germany has experienced a census gap. The previous census took place several years ago. The last full population census in the western part of Germany had been in 1987, and the last census in what was then the GDR had been in 1981, a full 30 years before the 2011 one. In addition, the country has undergone tremendous transitions during this time, with the unification of Germany in 1990 and its massive socio-economic impact. By 2021, the population of Germany grew considerably bigger. This is a massive effort of the government to halt long-term population decrease. They have sought to devise policies targeted at promoting an increase in the birth rate, particularly through subsidizing childcare and offering subsidies and other tax breaks to families. So we're now down to the birth and fertility rate. The two figures show both the birth and fertility rates in Germany during the last 2 decades. In 2001, the birth rate was 9 and consequently the fertility rate was 1.3. In the 1965 birth cohort, the total number of children born to West German women is predicted to be 1.5 children per woman, but in 2001, it seemed to have had a lesser fertility rate. In 2011, the birth rate was 8 and consequently the fertility rate was 1.4. According to a new statement issued by the Federal Statistical Office, the number of children born in Germany fell 2.2% in 2011 to a historic low of 663,000 infants. In 2021, the birth rate was again 9 and consequently the fertility rate was 1.5. The birth and fertility rates have been one of the factors that foresee population growth. Germany has one of the lowest completed fertility rates in Europe, and the total fertility rate has fallen from 2.2 to roughly 1.4 children per woman over the last 4 decades. Meanwhile, the number of live births have been continuously declining due to a decrease in the number of women of childbearing age. According to Stefan Kroner, the lead researcher at the Berlin Institute for Population and Development, the major reason for population reduction is a decrease in the number of potential parents, notably women aged 15 to 45. Today's prospective parents, particularly women, want a balance between family life and their professional jobs. Although the birth rate in Germany has increased slightly over the last decade, the fertility rate of women living in Germany remains at a low level. To the urbanization. The figure shows the progress of urbanization in Germany. From the figure, it can be interpreted that there is an increase in population in urban areas. The proportion of a country's population living in cities is referred to as urbanization. In 2021, 77% of Germany's total population lived in urban areas and cities, almost three-quarters of the German population, which is actually more than in most other countries. Now, it is important to note that urbanization refers to the number of people living in an urban area and has nothing to do with the actual physical size or footprint of a region or nation. While 25% of the German population still living in rural regions, their lifestyles are not dependent on agriculture, since the agricultural industry contributed to just 0.75% of GDP in 2014. While Germany's urbanization rate is increasing, a sizable proportion of the population remains in rural regions. Furthermore, Germany has several decreasing cities in the east and old industrial zones around the country. Given that population growth in Germany is slowing due to low fertility rates and that the number of cities is declining, the urban population is expected to relocate to larger cities which provide more economic opportunities than smaller ones. Next up is the rate of natural increase and migration. The figure shows the data on the migration rate and the rate of natural increase in Germany. As observed from the figure, there's a gradual increase in the net migration rate while the rate of natural increase has extremely decreased to a point in negative 0.3%. The rate of natural increase is the actual difference between the crude birth rates from the crude death rates, and as the figure suggests, the death rates have overwhelmed the birth rates, resulting in a negative percentage in the rate of natural increase in the country. For years, Germany had slightly negative population growth, due mainly or entirely to negative natural population growth caused by a too low birth rate and also because of the lack of net immigration. The population is also declining and aging at the same time, resulting in a demographic crisis that will bring major challenges in the future, such as how to pay for healthcare and social security, or when those in work are unable to find the retirees' pension obligations. In the migration sector, it has been one of the booming factors of increasing population growth in Germany since World War II. Immigration to Germany strongly influences the development of population size as well as age and social structure. Overall, immigration to Germany over the last decade has not only increased in volume, but it has also become more diverse in terms of its regions of origin and hence more global in character. So what are the implications of such findings in the environment? Germany is said to become a pioneer in green energy and combat climate change. Nonetheless, new data indicate that the country has fallen short of its own climate targets. Other environmental targets are not being met in Germany. Instead of decreasing urban expansion, like the conversion of agricultural or forest land into communities and highways to 30 hectares per day, cities are expanding by 63 hectares per day. Similarly, conservation attempts for local flora and fauna are failing. The indicator of species variety and landscape quality in the official report recently fell to 69% of the historical value from 1975, which was also the 2020 goal value. So clearly, numerous factors contributed to Germany's climate policy failure, and demography is a major element. For decades, scientists anticipated that by 2050, Germany's population would plummet from 80 million to 60 million, if not 50 million. And cities and regions are plainly straining to reach their environmental goals as a result of population expansion. In comparison to steady or slightly falling cities, demographically developing cities turned far more undeveloped territory into urban areas. Similarly, as the population increased, so did the rate of carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuel combustions. In conclusion, the population growth of Germany remains at a standstill, whether it would increase due to migration and childcare policy-making efforts, or would it decrease if the rate of natural increase would continue to plummet to a negative percentage in the next coming years. As scientists once assumed in 2011 that the population of Germany will decrease one-fourth of its current population by 2060, recent trends have shown that it would maintain its average population count due to migration efforts and childcare policymaking. With the death rate overcoming the birth rate resulting to the low percentage of natural increase rate, It is certainly hard to determine the future of Germany when many factors are acting upon itself and among others. Another would be the factor of urbanization, where with increasing urbanization, there were decreasing birth rates as well, since most urban living people tend to prioritize their career than having a family. Its impacts implicate a harsher reality to their environment, as it is inevitable that despite raising records for population increase in the data, the environment in the end would receive the consequences of climate change in the country. Overall, this paper analysis made me realize the challenges dealt with population and environmental interactions. There could be many policies and environmental acts that were implemented to fight against climate change, but that could be less practiced by the major community. And that Germany is a federal country, and a federal country relies on its population count because it directly affects its economy. And this is most probably why population decrease is a major problem in the country. And that is all for my analysis. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Usman Mohammad Moan, a fourth-year BS Biology, and today I am going to present to you an intercensal analysis to be presented to the course SOC106 Sociology of the Environment entitled Brazil, a two-decade intercensal analysis in the year 2001, 2011, and 2021. So, being ranked as number 6 in the list of the most populous countries makes the country of Brazil perfect for an intercensal analysis. An intercensal analysis is a type of analysis that focuses on the relative changes of a specific country from the different census and the factors that causes those changes. So Brazil, or officially known as Federative Republic of Brazil, is considered as the largest country in both South America and Latin America. Being ranked as number 6 in the list of the most populous countries makes the country of Brazil perfect for an intercensal analysis. Its population alone is equivalent to 2.73% of the total population of the world. So, in this table shows that the relevant information and values from Brazil's demographics taken from the World Data Sheet. The table accounted the following population and the following. Population over the past decades. Brazil's population continues to increase, but there is a small increase from 2011 to 2021 compared to the increase of its population from 2001 to 2011. In terms of birth rate, there is a significant decline from 22 in 2001 to 13 in 2021 to per 1,000 population. In the death rates, the deaths are almost consistent with 6 to 7 per 1,000 population and no relevant changes. The following data shows a significant decline in the past 2 decades rate of natural increases from 1.5 in 2001, 0.9 in 2011, and 0.6 in 2021 annual percentage. Infant mortality rate from 35 in 2001, 20 in 2011, 12 in 2021 per 1,000 births. So, in total fertility rate from 2.4 in 2001, 1.9 in 2011 to 1.7 in 2021 child per woman. And population less than age 15 from 30% in 2001, 25% in 2011 to 21% in 2021. And the number of deaths under the age 1 from 100,000 131,000 in 2001, 58,000 in 2011 to 30,000 33,000 in 2021. While the following data sheets shows an increasing value in the past 2 decades. So the population greater than age 64 from 5% in 2001, 7% in 2011 to 10% in 2021. In the life expectancy of at birth of male, female, and both sexes from 65 in 2001, 70 in 2011 to 72 in 2021. From 72 in 2001, 77 in 2011 to 80 in 2021. And from 68 in 2001, 74 in 2011 to 76 in 2000 to 2021 respectively. So in the GNI PPP per capita from $6,840 in 2001 to $10,160 in 2011 and to 14,550 in 2021. And the density from 20.08 population per square meter in 2001 to 22.99 population per square meter in 2011 to 24.87 population per square kilometer in 2021. The percentage of population 15 to 19 with HIV record of the country recorded in 2001 and 0.6% while no available data in the following years. So the next slide, in the first figure, in the population growth rate, the figure above shows the differences of the three countries in terms of rate of growth in population. The population of Indonesia has been exponentially increasing and branded as fourth most populated country in the world. The population of Brazil has almost the same rate of increase of population with Indonesia from the year 2001 to 2011, and Brazil was the fifth most populated country in those years. But in the mid-2011 to 2021, the country Pakistan exponentially increased its population, leaving Brazil to sixth most populated country, and it is also due to low rate of increase in Brazil's population in those years. In the second figure, it shows the consistent decrease of the infant mortality rate of the Brazil's in the 2 decades, and also the infant fertility rate in of Brazil. So in the second slide, and the third slide, the figure shows a consistent decrease in the birth of Brazil and an almost consistent number of deaths between 6 to 7 deaths in Brazil. So this is the birth and death rate. And according to Rossini and Kallio, until the end of the 19th century, high birth and death rates characterized the Brazilian population when a significant population growth was registered with the arrival of immigrants. Great discoveries in curative and preventive medicine decreased the number of deaths, along with immigration favored the quick increases of the population. The birth rate began to decrease in the early 20th century in the most significantly from the 40s. When the flow of immigrants decreased markedly, the fertility rate decreased from 5.8 per woman in 60s to 3.2 in the 80s, causing an overall drop in the population growth rate. So, in the environmental implication of this of the population of Brazil, the problems that affect directly the rural population and directly the urban population are the following: deforestation and its negative impact on available water sources, occupation of water source areas, which cause population pollution and also compromise the continuity of the water supply, goldfield mining problems, and the use of mercury with serious consequences to people and to fauna, and finally the reappearance of endemic diseases which are practically under control, such as malaria, dengue, and cholera. So the environmental situation in most Brazilian cities is dramatic, if not tragic. The most diverse kinds of ecological imbalance, the social misery, the degradation of the man-made environment, and the waste of natural and human resources proliferate in these cities, directly affecting the quality of life of millions of Brazilians, even the wealthy social segments that apparently benefit from the present situation live in permanent fear due to urban tension, social violence, anxiety, and discomfort. And this is according to CINA in 1991. So to conclude everything, Brazil's policies in maintaining the population of its country have been effective according to the data provided in this analysis and successfully downranked itself from the most populated countries in the world. In the mid-2011 to 2021, the country Pakistan managed to surpass the population of Brazil, and Brazil were able to slow down the pace of its increase of its population, making it from being fifth most populated country to sixth most populated country. These results have been significantly contributing to the environment, and the Brazilian government have been effectively acting in the increase of its population and have been successful in slowing the pace of its growth, and the result is very visible. An increase of population in 2001 to 2011 is much greater than the increase of 2011 to 2021. So that's all, and thank you.